Listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you will either wake you up or leave you behind. Every man who rises must learn one thing. Detachment is power, not the soft, feel-good kind they preach in self-help books. I'm talking about the cold, strategic detachment of a mind that refuses to be drained by anyone, anything, or any emotion that weakens his edge. Most people hand out their energy like charity. They cling to noise. They drown in other people's chaos. But not you. Not anymore. You're here to become untouchable, a man Machiavelli himself would study, a man who pulls back his power from every useless distraction, every emotional leech, every battle that isn't worth the blood. Because the truth is simple. The world feeds on the unguarded. The world drains the untrained. The world consumes the man who doesn't know how to walk away. But you're about to learn how. From this moment on, you detach not out of weakness, but out of ruthless self-preservation. From this moment on, you elevate, not escape. From this moment on, your energy becomes a weapon. If you're ready, comment this phrase right now. My energy is mine alone. Say it, own it, and let's begin. Number 1. The law of strategic withdrawal. Detachment is not escape, it is selection, the art of choosing where your power flows and where it is ruthlessly cut off. Most people live like open circuits, their energy bleeding into every argument, every distraction, every emotionally chaotic person who wanders into their orbit. But power isn't built in chaos. It's built in control. Machiavelli understood this. A leader who gives his emotions free rein becomes a puppet, easily pulled, easily drained. You must become the opposite, calm, unswayed, and impossible to provoke. When something drains you, you do not fight it. You withdraw from it with precision, the same way a king retreats from a pointless battle to win the war. You don't owe anyone your attention. You don't owe anyone your presence. You protect your energy the same way you'd protect a weapon, because that's exactly what it is. Cut off the noise. Step back from the people who feed on your reactions. Walk away from the emotional traps disguised as obligations. And when your mind tries to pull you back into chaos, remind yourself, control is earned, not given. If you understand this law, comment the phrase, I guard my energy with intention. Number 2. The power of emotional silence. Emotional silence is not the absence of feeling. It is the mastery of it, the ability to stand in the middle of chaos without offering a single drop of the reaction others crave. Weak people are addicted to emotional noise. They need constant validation, attention, and drama to feel alive. But men who operate in power know that silence is a weapon sharper than any sword. When you stop explaining yourself, stop defending your choices, stop reacting to provocations designed to drain you, you become something rare, a man who cannot be manipulated. Machiavelli warned that men are ruled by their emotions far more than their logic, and that is why the masses are predictable. They chase highs, they fear discomfort, and they collapse under pressure. But not you. You learn to let your silence speak for you. When someone tries to trigger you, you don't fire back. You observe. When someone demands your energy, you don't rush to supply it. You calculate. When chaos tries to pull you in, you remain still, because stillness is control. Emotional silence forces others to reveal themselves while you reveal nothing. It puts you in the superior position because the person who speaks least often holds the most power. Let the world talk. Let them speculate. Let them guess what you feel, what you think, what your next move is. Their confusion becomes your shield. Their assumptions become your camouflage. You stay centered, composed, unreadable. This is how you detach from every force that drains you. Not by shutting down your emotions, but by refusing to allow them to be used against you. And when your silence makes others uncomfortable, understand this truth. Their discomfort is the sound of your power rising. If you're ready to master emotional silence, comment the phrase, "My silence is my strength." Number 3. The art of controlled distance. Controlled distance is the invisible boundary that powerful men draw between themselves and anything that threatens their inner equilibrium. This isn't emotional coldness. It's strategic spacing, a deliberate separation between your mind and the forces that try to claim ownership of it. Most people suffocate themselves by staying too close to situations, relationships, and environments that drain them, hoping that proximity will fix what is broken. But power doesn't grow in suffocation. It grows in space. Machiavelli understood that a ruler must remain close enough to understand his subjects, yet distant enough to never be ruled by them. You must apply the same principle to your life. See everything, understand everything, but allow nothing to entangle you. Controlled distance keeps you from absorbing emotions that aren't yours. It protects your clarity, your discipline, your self-respect. It reminds you that not every invitation deserves attendance, not every conflict deserves your presence, and not every person deserves your closeness. Distance exposes truth, because when you step back, you see who runs after you, who stays still, and who reveals their real intentions. It also reveals your own patterns, the impulses you chase, the habits that sabotage you, the weaknesses that drain you. And once you see them clearly, you are no longer controlled by them. This distance is not physical, it is psychological. You can be in the same room with someone yet completely untouchable. You can hear their words, yet feel nothing that destabilizes you. You can witness their attempts to provoke you and remain unmoved. This is the level where you become dangerous, not because you fight harder, but because you refuse to be pulled into a battlefield you didn't choose. Controlled distance makes you unpredictable, unreadable, and unbreakable. It teaches others that your presence is earned, not assumed. It teaches you that the world only drains the man who stands too close. Step back, observe longer, engage less, move with intention, not attachment. And whenever someone tries to lure you into chaos, remember, distance is not rejection, it is self-preservation. If you're ready to master this level of power, comment the phrase, "I choose distance, not distraction." Number 4. The calculation of energy value. Powerful men rise the moment they understand that energy is not an infinite resource, but a finite currency, one that must be guarded with the same sharp discipline a ruler guards his throne. And to detach from everything that drains you, you must treat your energy like a strategist treats gold, precious, limited, and never spent without a calculated purpose. Most people wander through life leaking energy into meaningless conflicts, pointless conversations, and emotional parasites who feed on their attention. And they do this because they never learn to measure the true cost of their own power. Machiavelli warned that a leader who wastes his resources destroys himself long before any enemy breaches the gates. And the same rule applies to your internal kingdom. You weaken yourself every time you invest in something that does not offer growth, clarity, or elevation. Every situation, every person, every distraction must be evaluated through one question: what is the return on this energy? If the return is weakness, stress, confusion, or stagnation, then the cost is too high, and withdrawal becomes a strategic necessity, not an emotional reaction. You are not obligated to respond to emotional beggars who demand constant reassurance, yet offer nothing but chaos in return, and you are not required to fix the problems people keep creating for themselves. Your energy must flow toward ambition, discipline, mastery, and inner expansion, not toward noise, drama, or endless emotional maintenance. When you internalize this, guilt loses its power over you because guilt is the weapon of the draining, manipulation is the language of the insecure, and pressure is the tactic of those who fear losing control over you. A man who knows the value of his energy becomes immune to all three. He no longer reacts out of impulse but out of calculation. He no longer entertains distractions but eliminates them. He no longer allows access based on history but on merit. And each time you refuse to invest in something beneath your level, your power compounds. Each time you stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you, your mind sharpens. Each time you withdraw your energy from chaos, your inner world becomes stronger, clearer, and more disciplined. This calculation is not temporary. It is a lifestyle, a philosophy, a daily practice of self-respect performed with precision. You are not here to be drained by the unworthy. You are here to become a fortress of controlled intensity, and every boundary you set becomes another brick in that fortress. If you understand the truth in this, comment the phrase, "My energy is earned, never taken." Number 5. The evolution into psychological self-sufficiency. True detachment begins the moment you stop seeking strength from the outside world and start generating it from within, because a man who depends on external validation, external reassurance, or external emotional stability is a man permanently exposed, permanently drainable, permanently vulnerable to anyone who knows how to pull the right emotional string. Psychological self-sufficiency is the stage where you sever the hidden cords that tie your mood, your confidence, your identity, and your direction to the reactions of other people. This evolution is not comfortable. It demands that you confront the parts of yourself you once avoided, the insecurities you masked with noise, the doubts you buried under distraction, the fears you hid behind performance. But every confrontation becomes a transformation, because the more you face these internal forces, the less they can control you. You begin to understand that needing others to keep you balanced is a silent form of slavery, and liberation comes only when you learn to stabilize yourself, calm yourself, motivate yourself, discipline yourself, validate yourself, and guide yourself. Most people never reach this stage because they cling to emotional dependency. They fear standing alone with their thoughts, fear taking responsibility for their wounds, fear admitting that their suffering is maintained by their own patterns. But you are not most people. You are evolving into a man who treats his mind like a weapon that must be sharpened daily. You build routines that strengthen your internal stability, silence that strengthens clarity, solitude that strengthens identity, discipline that strengthens structure, purpose that strengthens direction. You stop relying on others to mend your emotional fractures, because you finally accept that anyone who has the power to soothe you also has the power to wound you, and no man aiming for sovereignty can allow that kind of leverage. You become the calm in your own storm, the anchor in your own chaos, the guidance in your own uncertainty. You detach from the need to be understood, because understanding from the wrong people is just another form of weakness. You detach from the need to be liked, because likability is the currency of men who fear standing alone. You detach from the need for constant reassurance, because reassurance is a drug that keeps your self-worth addicted to external supply. When you reach psychological self-sufficiency, you do not grow colder, you grow clearer. You stop over-explaining because you no longer crave approval. You stop chasing because you no longer fear loss. You stop participating in emotional theatrics because you no longer need the noise that once distracted you from your own power. People will feel the shift. Some will be threatened by it. Some will try to guilt you back into the version of yourself that served their needs. Some will attempt to destabilize you to regain influence over you. But none of them will succeed, because your center no longer lives outside yourself. From this point onward, your energy becomes yours entirely, your thoughts, your focus, your emotions, your direction. You rise not because the world cooperates, but because you no longer depend on the world to rise. And that is the moment you become truly untouchable, when every part of your strength comes from within, and nothing external can drain what it no longer controls. Number 6. The fortress of unbreakable inner authority. In this stage of becoming untouchable, you construct a fortress within yourself, a psychological citadel built brick by brick from discipline, self-knowledge, and the ruthless refusal to let anyone dictate the rhythm of your inner world. Because a man who cannot be shaken internally becomes immune to everything designed to destabilize him externally. And this fortress is not built from arrogance, but from awareness, the awareness that most people operate as emotional open wounds, seeking others to soothe the pain they refuse to confront, while you rise above that dynamic by mastering the art of internal regulation. You begin to understand that relying on others for emotional stability is the fastest route to dependence, weakness, and manipulation, and so you strip your psyche of these illusions until your sense of power comes entirely from within, not from approval, validation, or external reassurance. This fortress is built from the countless moments you choose discipline over impulse, clarity over chaos, silence over emotional leakage, and purpose over distraction. It is built when you stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you, when you stop overextending yourself to gain loyalty from those who would never bleed for you, when you stop giving your energy to situations that lower your mental altitude. Every boundary you enforce becomes a wall. Every emotional withdrawal becomes a gate. Every refusal to be drained becomes a tower. You become a man who protects his mind as if it were a kingdom, because it is. Within this fortress, you begin to develop the most dangerous weapon of all, internal authority, the ability to command your thoughts, your reactions, and your focus with precision. A man with internal authority is unpredictable because he is not led by emotional triggers or outside influences. He acts from intention, strategy, and vision. People will try to pull you into their storms, but you will remain unmoved because storms cannot touch a fortress built on elevation. People will try to provoke you, but provocation loses its power when your self-worth is no longer tied to the opinions of the unstable. People will try to guilt you, but guilt cannot penetrate a man who knows he owes nothing to anyone who drains him. And as this authority grows, you begin to move differently, slower, more deliberate, more precise, like a man who understands that every action is a statement of power. You no longer rush, because rushing is for the reactive. You no longer over-explain because over-explaining is for the uncertain. You no longer seek validation because validation is for the unanchored. Instead, you navigate the world with an inner calm so sharp it unsettles people who rely on emotional chaos to feel significant. You detach from their expectations, detach from their projections, detach from their demands, because none of these things hold weight inside your fortress. You become a man who belongs to himself, a man who sets the terms of his own existence, a man who cannot be drained because his energy is allocated with the precision of a king distributing resources in wartime. And when others realize they cannot penetrate your fortress, they will either elevate to meet you or fall away entirely, revealing who is meant to stay in your kingdom and who was merely passing through. This is the power of inner authority. It filters your world automatically. Weak men collapse under pressure. Powerful men become pressure. Weak men seek comfort in others. Powerful men become comfort within themselves. Weak men look outward for strength. Powerful men generate it. If you feel the walls of this fortress rising within you, strengthening with every boundary, every withdrawal, every moment of clarity, then you are evolving into a man the world cannot drain, distract, or defeat. And if you understand this, comment the phrase, "I rule my inner kingdom." You must now understand that maintaining this inner kingdom requires constant vigilance. For even the smallest crack in your psychological walls can become an entry point for manipulation, weakness, or emotional decay. And so you adopt a new philosophy. Everything you allow into your mind must serve your ascent, and everything that does not must be expelled with discipline. This means mastering the art of emotional filtration, learning to observe without absorbing, to listen without internalizing, to witness without being pulled into the gravity of someone else's dysfunction. Most people live as emotional sponges, soaking up the negativity around them until they become reflections of the very toxicity they claim to hate. But not you. You stand as a sealed vessel, impermeable to the projections, fears, and insecurities of others. The higher you rise, the more. The world will attempt to test your defenses because nothing threatens comfort more than the presence of a man who has outgrown it. And so criticism will come, jealousy will come, attempts to drain you will come, but you will treat these not as attacks but as confirmations that your fortress is real, visible, and powerful. A man with inner authority does not crumble under weight. He carries it effortlessly, turning pressure into strength and adversity into sharpened resolve. Machiavelli taught that a ruler must always appear unshakable, for uncertainty breeds rebellion. But you take this further. You do not merely appear unshakable. You become unshakable at the core, immune to the storms that destroy ordinary men. And through this transformation, you will discover a truth few ever grasp. Psychological self-sufficiency is the ultimate freedom, because when no one holds the key to your emotions, no one holds power over your life. The world bends to the man who belongs to himself, and that is who you are becoming at this very moment. And as this freedom expands within you, you walk with a presence forged from discipline and clarity, a presence felt before you speak. You no longer search for direction, you create it. In this state, nothing external can diminish your power or drain your trajectory. You rise beyond limits now. Number 7. The shadow of calculated detachment. Detachment becomes a weapon of psychological dominance when you learn to step into your own shadow, the part of you that sees the world without illusion, that reads intentions instead of words, that judges actions instead of promises, and that moves through life with a cold clarity others mistake for indifference, when in truth, it is mastery. Most men cling to the fantasy that staying emotionally available to everyone is noble, but nobility without strategy is suicide. And your evolution requires you to release the childish belief that everyone deserves access to your inner world. They don't. Most people approach your life with their own agendas, their own unresolved fears, their own hunger to take more than they contribute. And if you remain plugged into their expectations, you will be drained long before you reach the heights you are meant to claim. Machiavelli taught that a ruler must learn to see people as they are, not as he wishes them to be, and detachment is the state of mind that makes this possible. It allows you to observe without being emotionally entangled, to listen without absorbing, to witness without being shaped by the instability of others. When you practice calculated detachment, your mind becomes sharper, your decisions become cleaner, and your life becomes less polluted by the noise of the world. You stop feeling obligated to fix people who refuse to fix themselves. You stop internalizing criticism from people who lack the courage to build anything meaningful. And you stop giving your emotional availability to people who crumble under the weight of your strength. Detachment does not make you cold. It makes you accurate. It reveals who respects your boundaries and who only respected your convenience, who values your presence and who merely tolerated you as long as you were easy to manipulate, who speaks to you with honesty and who speaks with hidden motives. When you detach, people reveal their true character instinctively because they can no longer use your emotions as leverage, no longer predict your reactions, no longer drain your energy through guilt, chaos, or passive pressure. You become a mirror that reflects their intentions instead of giving them the emotional responses they crave. And the truth is this: most people do not love you. They love the version of you that keeps them comfortable. When you evolve, when you set boundaries, when you stop feeding their expectations, you disrupt the equilibrium they depended on, and they will react. Some will distance themselves, some will resent you, some will attempt to pull you back into the emotional cage you've outgrown. But your job is not to shrink so others feel safe. Your job is to rise so you feel sovereign. The man who practices calculated detachment does not chase, does not cling, and does not apologize for prioritizing his evolution. He understands that emotional ties must be earned, not given freely like currency. He knows that every connection either strengthens or weakens him, and he chooses accordingly, without guilt, without hesitation, without seeking permission. This psychological distance grants you the ability to move like a strategist, not a servant, to your own impulses. You begin to choose silence where you once chose confrontation, observation where you once chose reaction, and discipline where you once chose distraction. And as this mindset deepens within you, something remarkable happens. Your value increases effortlessly. People sense that you are no longer emotionally accessible on demand, and scarcity creates respect. People notice that your energy is no longer easy to exploit, and boundaries create authority. People realize that you cannot be controlled through guilt or expectation, and self-mastery creates fear in the hearts of the manipulative. This is the shadow of calculated detachment, the part of you that knows how to step back so others reveal themselves, the part that stays centered while others unravel, the part that grows stronger every time you choose distance over emotional entanglement. You must embrace this shadow, not suppress it, because your shadow contains the instincts necessary for survival in a world that feeds on the unguarded. It teaches you when to withdraw, when to stay silent, when to move alone, when to become unreadable, when to break patterns that no longer serve you, and when to cut off connections that drain more than they deliver. And as you learn to trust this shadow, you rise above the emotional games that trap ordinary men. You stop being predictable. You stop being accessible. You stop being drainable. From this moment forward, you operate from a place of elevated distance, and anyone who wants access to you must rise to your level instead of pulling you down to theirs. If you feel this level of power forming inside you, comment the phrase, "I detach to rise." Number 8. The discipline of impenetrable focus. Focus is the battlefield where every powerful man wins or loses himself, and when you rise into the discipline of impenetrable focus, you become a force guided not by impulse but by controlled intention. This is the stage where your attention becomes a weapon sharper than emotion, sharper than distraction, sharper than the noise that controls ordinary minds. Most people never master focus because focus demands a level of self-respect they have not yet earned. It demands the ability to say no without guilt, to step back without apology, to guard your attention with the same intensity a ruler guards a kingdom. When you operate with impenetrable focus, you stop giving your mental energy to trivial conflicts, pointless conversations, and people who drain you with their constant emotional volatility. You stop scattering your power across 100 meaningless directions and instead channel it into a single trajectory with ruthless precision. This is what elevates you above the masses, your ability to concentrate on what matters while ignoring everything that does not serve your rise. Focus is not simply the act of paying attention, it is the act of refusing attention to whatever weakens you. And the truth is simple. The world is designed to fracture the minds of men who lack clarity. Every notification, every demand, every emotional appeal, every distraction exists to keep you from seeing your path clearly. But you are no longer available to be pulled off your path. You train your mind to become a fortress, and inside that fortress, you protect your ambitions from the thieves of distraction. Focus becomes your shield and your sword. It protects you from manipulation because you no longer react to emotional bait. It protects you from chaos because you no longer internalize the storms around you. It protects you from weakness because every moment spent in undivided attention strengthens your identity. This discipline reshapes the way you move. You become harder to reach, not out of arrogance, but out of strategic necessity. You give less of yourself to the world and more of yourself to your mission. You stop participating in drama because drama is the currency of the unfocused. You stop explaining your priorities because explanation is a tax on your energy. You stop chasing validation because validation is the addiction of the unfocused mind. As your focus deepens, your presence becomes quieter but heavier, calmer but sharper, still but powerful. People feel your detachment, not as coldness, but as purpose. They sense that your mind is no longer a playground for their demands or expectations. They sense that you are not a man who can be pulled into chaos, because chaos cannot enter a mind protected by discipline. And the more you cultivate impenetrable focus, the more you realize that most of your former struggles were the result of allowing your attention to be scattered by people who had no business influencing your direction. Focus reveals truth. It exposes what was never worth your time. It exposes who was never aligned with your mission. It exposes the habits designed to keep you mediocre. And once you see the truth, you cannot unsee it. You rise with it. You sharpen with it. You strengthen with it. Focus becomes a lifestyle, a psychological armor, a declaration that your destiny belongs to you alone. You become untouchable, not because you avoid the world, but because the world no longer has the power to pull you away from your path. This is the discipline of impenetrable focus, the mastery of your attention, the control of your mind, and the unshakable commitment to your rise. The man who commands his focus commands his fate, because every choice becomes a deliberate act of power. The man who commands his focus commands his fate, because every choice becomes a deliberate act of power. The man who commands his focus commands his fate, because every choice becomes a deliberate act of power. The man who commands his focus commands his fate, because every choice becomes a deliberate act of power. The man who commands his focus commands his fate, because because every choice becomes a deliberate act of power. The man who commands his focus commands his fate, because every choice becomes a deliberate act of power. The man who commands his focus commands his fate, because every choice becomes a deliberate act of power. Number 9. The code of detached dominance. Detached dominance begins the moment you stop reacting to the world and start shaping it with deliberate, controlled intention. It is the point where you no longer give emotional access to forces that have not earned the right to influence you. You begin to move through life with an internal steadiness that cannot be shaken by chaos, opinion, rejection, or pressure. Because a man who controls his emotions controls his outcomes. And a man who controls his outcomes becomes a threat to every unstable mind that relies on emotional manipulation to stay powerful. Detached dominance is not numbness, it is precision. It is the art of seeing everything without absorbing anything that weakens your focus. You learn to observe the motives of others with a cold clarity that cuts through their excuses, their stories, and their projections. You stop believing words and start believing patterns, because patterns reveal truth, while words reveal only intention. In this state, you become immune to guilt tactics, emotional urgency, and the invisible hooks people throw into your mind to pull you where they want you to go. You no longer chase answers from people committed to misunderstanding you, because doing so wastes energy you now guard like a fortress. You no longer enter arguments designed only to drain your mental sharpness, because arguments are the playground of undisciplined minds. You no longer allow yourself to be manipulated by the emotional instability of others, because instability is contagious to anyone who remains unguarded. Detached dominance requires discipline, the discipline to remain centered when provoked, silent when challenged, and composed when someone attempts to unravel you. You understand that the moment you react emotionally, you lose leverage, so you extend the psychological distance between stimulus and response until you regain absolute control. Your silence becomes strategy. Your stillness becomes a threat. Your presence becomes a test that reveals the true nature of everyone around you. People begin to expose themselves in your calm because chaotic minds panic when their usual methods of control fail. Some will try to provoke you harder. Some will attempt to guilt you back into the version of yourself that made them comfortable. Some will withdraw, intimidated by the stability you now embody. All of them will reveal who they truly are. Detached dominance is not about being above others. It is about no longer being pulled below your standards. It is about choosing emotional neutrality in situations where others expect weakness. It is about knowing you can feel deeply, but refusing to let those feelings dictate your decisions. You become a man whose emotions serve him rather than sabotage him. You stop identifying with the impulses that once ruled you. You stop internalizing the opinions of people who have never achieved anything worth respecting. You stop allowing access to individuals who drain more than they contribute. Detached dominance turns you into a psychological strategist. You enter social situations with awareness rather than eagerness. You listen not to respond, but to understand. You choose your reactions with intention, not habit. You speak only when words increase your influence. You walk away the moment a situation becomes unworthy of your presence. And because you operate with such clarity, you start to see the invisible power dynamics most people are too emotional to notice. Who is pulling, who is hiding, who is projecting, who is subtly competing, who is seeking validation, who is masking weakness, who is testing your boundaries. And you respond with the same calm precision a tactician uses when moving pieces on a battlefield. Nothing is rushed, nothing is forced, nothing is done from emotional desperation. Detached dominance grants you an aura of quiet authority that others can feel but cannot decipher. They sense your strength before you speak. They sense your boundaries without you announcing them. They sense your independence and instinctively adjust their behavior. This is the power of being unshakable. You no longer fear losing anyone because you no longer attach your identity to their presence. You no longer fear rejection because rejection cannot touch a man who determines his own value. You no longer fear solitude because solitude becomes the throne from which your clarity grows. When you reach this level, you become a man who cannot be drained, distracted, or derailed by anything outside himself. This is detached dominance, the state of being where you command your mind so powerfully that nothing external can command it for you. And if you understand this, comment the phrase, "My control is my power." Number 10. The ascent into untouchable self-mastery. Untouchable self-mastery is the final stage of detachment, the point where you no longer just protect your energy, but rule it with calculated authority, and every thought, reaction, and decision becomes a conscious extension of your power. At this level, you stop existing as a passive participant in your own life and step fully into the role of architect, strategist, and ruler of your internal world. You no longer wait for motivation, you manufacture it. You no longer hope for clarity, you carve it. You no longer beg for respect, you embody it until the world has no choice but to adjust. Self-mastery is not about being perfect, it is about being in control. You still feel anger, doubt, attraction, fear, and temptation, but none of them are allowed to sit in the driver's seat. You observe them like a king, listening to advisors, hearing every voice, obeying none without scrutiny. Most men are slaves to their impulses. They call it personality, but it is undisciplined programming. You are done living that way. You begin turning your life into a system. Your mornings are no longer random. They are rituals that prime you for war. Your days are no longer spent reacting. They are structured around your highest priorities. Your nights are no longer a graveyard of wasted time. They become audits of your performance and recalibration for the next move. You study yourself with ruthless honesty, where you fold, where you hesitate, where you still chase what drains you. And instead of making excuses, you make corrections. Self-mastery means you no longer lie to yourself. You do not sugarcoat your flaws, but you also do not worship them. You treat them as weaknesses on a battlefield map, identified, exposed, and marked for elimination. This mindset makes you dangerous, because very few men are willing to confront themselves with this level of truth. You become the man who carries discipline like a blade. When your mind tries to negotiate for comfort, you cut the negotiation short. When your emotions demand reactions that would sabotage your progress, you deny them the satisfaction. When your old habits try to pull you back into the man you used to be, you remind yourself that regression is betrayal. Every time you choose discipline over indulgence, your self-respect grows heavier. Every time you execute on what you said you would do, your inner authority tightens its grip. Every time you endure discomfort without retreat, your threshold for pressure rises. And slowly, the world inside you becomes stronger than the world outside you. That is the moment you become truly untouchable, when no loss, no rejection, no betrayal, no disappointment can shake your foundation, because your foundation is built from who you are, not what you have. Untouchable self-mastery is not about isolation from people. It is about insulation from dependence. You can connect, you can care, you can love, but you do not collapse if anything leaves. Your center remains yours. Your mind remains yours. Your path remains yours. You understand that the highest level of power is not making others fear losing you, but becoming a man who does not fear losing anything that is not aligned with his direction. You move like someone who knows that everything external is temporary: status, relationships, validation, opportunity. But your character, your discipline, and your standards are permanent as long as you choose them. So you choose them every day. You choose to think instead of react. You choose to act instead of complain. You choose to build instead of escape. This is the code of the untouchable. Never surrender your mind. Never abandon your mission. Never trade long-term power for short-term relief. From this point forward, you are not just detaching from what drains you. You are ascending above it. You do not chase peace. You generate it. You do not chase power. You become it. And if you are ready to step fully into this version of yourself, the one who cannot be broken by pressure or bent by expectation, then remember this truth every time you wake up. No one is coming to shape you. You shape yourself, starting now.